Good evening, I'm Lauren Walsh. At this hour, Tropical Storm Arthur is making its way toward the coast of the Carolinas. For the very latest, let's head over to Chief Meteorologist Lainey Pope. Hi, Lainey.
That's right. The latest is coming in from the National Hurricane Center as we speak, and they are seeing very little change with this storm since earlier today. Still 45-mile-per-hour winds and moving north-northeast, maybe picking up a little bit of speed at 10 miles an hour now. It is about 210 miles to the south-southwest of Hatteras and is expected to come very close to, if not over or along, the North Carolina Outer Banks over the next 24 hours as a tropical storm. If it strengthens, it would be minimal. Now you can see there's quite a bit of rain with the storm, but it is mostly offshore. Starting to see some of those showers now kind of pushing into places like Wilmington and up toward the Outer Banks, where they are going to be having some very heavy rain as well as wind and surf. And there is a tropical storm warning out. It starts at Surf City, North Carolina, goes all the way up past the Pamlico Albemarle Sounds to Duck there on the northern extremities of the Outer Banks. So that means tropical storm conditions in the next 24 hours. This storm system is expected to come very close to the coast, if not over the coast, very early tomorrow morning, and then work its way to the northeast and, yes, turn away from the U.S. There's a weather system moving in from the west that's going to bring us a lot of rain. Yeah, unusual that we don't get the rain from the tropical system, but we're going to get it from a weather system out west. We may see a few showers kind of trickling in and being pushed up the mountains from Arthur early tomorrow morning. We do have some clouds in the forecast, so perhaps a little fog and drizzle. Our temperatures will start off in the 60s. We've got a lot to talk about, not just Arthur, but the rain that is heading our way this week, which could cause flooding, so stick around.
Thank you, Lainey. Today, for the first time in weeks, houses of worship across North Carolina had the option to hold indoor services. It's all thanks to a temporary restraining order placed on Governor Roy Cooper's stay-at-home order. Meredith Stutz spoke one-on-one with the Triad pastor behind that lawsuit. He explains how he plans to keep his church safe during an ongoing pandemic.
Less than 24 hours after a federal judge ruled that religious gatherings in North Carolina can take place inside regardless of group size, I talked to Dr. Ronnie Beatty, head pastor of Berean Baptist Church in Winston-Salem, before he preached what he says will be the last parking lot service. Now, we were not permitted to film that service on property, even though it was being live streamed. Before that service took place, we talked about that decision inside his church, which he says he is now focused on reopening with modifications. Sitting in his office, Pastor Beatty says he was relieved by Judge James Devers' decision.
I was very much appreciative, elated that he ruled on a constitutional basis.
On Friday, Beatty, president of Return America, also listed in the suit with a church in Greenville, appeared in court in Raleigh.
I knew this judge had it together. He realized the importance of the First Amendment.
Beatty says their problem with the order had to do with the governor's prohibiting the free exercise clause, saying the order was inconsistent with non-religious places.
How can all these people rubbing shoulders in an UPS packaging center be safer than the governor says 11 people can be if they come in the house of God? I think it's wrong to mistreat the church and treat it differently than he treats the business world. Again, why is 50 people in a funeral home safer than 10 people in church?
The judge agreed with their reasoning, temporarily allowing for groups larger than 10 to gather inside houses of worship, including the sanctuary of Berean Baptist, as long as they use safety guidelines. Governor Cooper's office disagreed, but says it won't appeal.
Well, he has a right to be wrong.
Beatty says the church is necessary during a pandemic, and their actions set a standard for all houses of worship in the state.
So all of the churches today have the freedom, First Amendment rights to go back in the buildings under, vitally important, under very stringent sanitation rules.
Beatty says his church will go beyond CDC guidelines. It plans to have its first indoor service this Wednesday, where doors will be held and a nurse will conduct temperature checks.
We're going to have every other row of seating blocked off. There will be no handshake. There will be no passing of the offering plate. We will have people sanitizing handles in restrooms.
But face coverings will not be required, nor limiting seating capacity. Beatty says members aren't forced to return if they are uncomfortable. On that, we asked Beatty what happens if someone going forward in his congregation contracts COVID-19.
We can't guarantee that everybody comes in here is going to be safe, no more than the business world can guarantee that. but we're going to make sure that we do everything we can to have a safe environment for the people who come in here.
That temporary restraining order shall remain in place until a hearing on Friday, May 29th. Reporting in Winston-Salem, Meredith Stutz, WXII 12 News.
Thank you, Meredith. All this comes as at least 3,300 cases of COVID-19 are confirmed in the Triad, and 2 new deaths are reported as well, one in Alamance County and one in Guilford County. Here you can see the number of cases in the Triad compared to the number of recoveries and deaths. The number of recoveries in our area is now close to 1,500, and the number of people who have died nears 100. In the state as a whole, more than 9,000 people have recovered, nearly 18,000 people have coronavirus in North Carolina, and more than 600 people have died. Meanwhile, the Forsyth County Health Department is tracking 2 coronavirus outbreaks at group living facilities. A staff member and a resident tested positive at Silas Creek Rehab. No one else is showing symptoms right now. And at Trinity Elms, 2 staff members tested positive. No residents are showing symptoms. The health department says the staff work in an independent apartment building. They are now in isolation. Starting tomorrow, the Department of Public Safety will offer free COVID-19 testing for corrections staff. It'll be available for employees in the Division of Adult Correction and Juvenile Justice. DPS is teaming up with FastMed and LabCorp to give the tests. Employees can get tested at FastMed urgent care locations all around the state, and LabCorp will provide employees with results through a secure online portal. Also tomorrow, Surry County is offering mass testing for COVID-19. Anyone can get tested with or without symptoms. Testing will be first come, first serve from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Northern Regional Hospital in Mount Airy, Hugh Chatham Memorial Hospital in Elkin, and at Hugh Chatham Express Care in Dobson. If you have insurance, you must bring your insurance card, a photo ID, and a valid phone number. People who are uninsured or underinsured can be tested for free. New tonight, the DOT is suspending the Piedmont passenger rail service until further notice. The department says it's because of the effects of the coronavirus on its budget. People traveling between Raleigh and Charlotte can still make trips on the Carolinian rail service. If you have a reservation, you can make changes on Amtrak.com or in the Amtrak app. If you want to cancel a reservation with no fee, you'll have to speak with an Amtrak agent by calling 800 by train.